first question is, who was your idol growing up and why?
My first idol was Petr Cech. I remember when I first started watching football, he was the first goalkeeper that really caught my eye. He was very distinctive with his scrum hat, and because of that I then started supporting Chelsea as well, so I'd watch a lot of Petr Cech. I also watched him when he went to Arsenal. And I was lucky enough because when I was 11 years old I was training at Cobham with their development centre, and his son would train in the youngest group, so as I started my session he would be finishing it, so I was able to meet him there.
What was your biggest setback in your playing career?
Ooh, that's a good question. I would say there's been a number of setbacks. I wouldn't say I've had any huge setbacks, but when I was around age 11, 12, I went and trialled at quite a few football academies in and around London, and all of them would just say, no, you're not good enough, no, you're not good enough, and that was quite tough for me, being only 11 years old and getting told no, even though I thought that I was good enough to get signed. So it was quite demoralising, and my parents were quite good at supporting me through that, telling me that you just keep going, they'll get an opportunity and you'll be ready for that opportunity. So that was tough, but it again shows the importance of resilience in football and just being able to keep going and be ready for when that opportunity comes.
Do you think the role of goalkeepers is going to improve or like change over the next 10, 15 years?
Well, it would be interesting to see how the game evolves in another 15 years. We can definitely see how it's evolved in the previous 15 years. And I think it's just going to continue evolving this way, where the goalkeeper's going to be even more of just a player. When teams have the ball, goalkeeper's just another centre-back, if anything, so that the team plays with 11 players instead of playing just with 10. And also, I think the goalkeeper's going to be a lot more of a preventative player, rather than waiting for shots to come, waiting for crosses to come in. It's going to be even more so trying to prevent those things by having a high starting position and cutting out any through balls, cutting out cutbacks and crosses. I think that's the way the game's going.
What would you say has been the proudest moment of your career so far?
For me, making my debut for Colombia. That was for the under-17 team. That was incredible. It was a stadium full of 15,000 people and the energy was electric. That's definitely the best moment.
Do you think you have your sights set for the Copa America in 2028?
Hopefully, yeah, definitely. I'm also hoping to be in and around the squads for the 2026 World Cup. So I'm in the under-20s team at the moment. We've got the under-20 Copa America coming up in January, and then hopefully we can get the qualification, win that tournament to then get through to the World Cup, and then after that my sights are set purely on the men's national team.
Between playing for your country like Colombia compared to playing for a team like Arsenal?
I would say it's a big difference between Latin American football in South America and European football. I would say here in Europe, football's a lot more systematic, a lot more tactical, and in South America it's a lot more free-flowing, a lot more dynamic. It's not so systematic in terms of players shift here, you shift here, shift here. You have a lot more freedom on the pitch, which is good. You need to have a balance of both in an ideal world. Have an element of tactics and systems, but also an element of free-flowing and freedom on the pitch, which is why you see a lot of South American players, especially wingers, being so good 1v1 at being creative, creating their own chances. And I would also say the game over there is not so patient in build-up. Here a lot of times, especially in the Premier League, you see teams which are very patient in the way they build up. They like to break through the opposition. There it's a lot quicker, the build-up, a lot more direct, the play.
Is there anything that you would change on the youth setup in England?
I think it's difficult to change what I'm about to say, but I think one thing that would help a lot of young players is between the ages of about 15, 16 and about 19, have more matches more often, and also see if there's a way to integrate under 21 teams into professional leagues like there is in other countries in Europe, like you see in Holland, in Spain, in Germany, where a lot of times the second team of big clubs plays in a professional division, and that would help a lot with players making that transition from academy to professional football, because you see it a lot. I've seen many stories of players who in under 21's academy football are fantastic, they're excelling, it's far too easy for them, but then they go into a professional setup and they struggle because it's so different. Not only the football, with it being more physical, with it being more demands of the game, but it's also the environment is very different. Being in a stadium with fans, going to play against people where 3 points means everything. You know, the manager's got his job on the line, whereas in academies a lot of the time it's very development orientated, which is very important as well for young players, but that can often mean that the aspect of winning matches can sometimes...
What was it like being called up to the first team squad?
Oh, it's a fantastic experience being able to train with them every single day, being able to go away on tour, be in the matchday squad a few times, because I'm sharing experiences with top elite players. I'm able to learn from their behaviours on and off the pitch, able to learn from the first team coaches, and ultimately training with them every single day and spending all of that time is going to help me be a lot better as a goalkeeper.
Yeah, because I know, like for me when I was playing youth football, like being on the bench, I mean I hated the feeling, but do you think that feeling changes as you like move up the ranks then?
I think it does to an extent, where maybe when you're a young player and it's your first few times on the bench for the first team, for example, or if you're an under 18, first few times on the bench for the under 21s, it's a great feeling being in and around that, feeling like you're trusted to be in the squad. But after that becomes more normal, you then get the eagerness to want to get out on the pitch, because you always want more. You're never satisfied as a footballer, which is important, because that way you're going to never settle for less. But also it's important at the end of the day to play matches, because you don't get exposure being on the bench. It's great a few times to get that experience, but it also gets to a point where you need to go out onto the pitch and play.
Especially like as a goalkeeper, so if you're substitute as a goalkeeper, the chances are you're not going to come onto the pitch. Do you find it hard to like maintain morale?
I think it can be difficult. It can be difficult, especially if you feel like you should be the one that's playing, because one thing is, if you know the other goalkeeper's much better than you, he's in good form and he deserves to play. But when it's a feeling where I've gone through it before previously, where I feel like I should be the one playing and you're not playing, that is very difficult. That is very difficult, knowing that you should be the one that you think should be out on that pitch. But the best goalkeepers all go through it, all of them. You look at the great story of Emiliano Martinez. He spent so many years going on loans, maybe not playing, being at Arsenal, being the number 3, not playing, and then when he got his opportunity to get a consistent run of games at Arsenal, he took it. And that's because all of those years he was training consistently and doing everything that he could. If he had just lost morale and slacked it off and thought, what's the point of me training, I'm not going to play anyway, he wouldn't have been able to take that opportunity when he got it.
Do you think the harmony like amongst goalkeepers is important for a football team to have?
Definitely, there needs to be harmony between the whole squad. You guys don't all have to be best friends, but you have to get along, you have to understand each other, and being able to push teammates is important, because if you push other teammates, it ends up being a butterfly effect, because everyone ends up pushing each other, and the whole level of the squad gets boosted, and the energy within the group is also very important.
Because as goalkeepers, like, you're effectively all competing for the same position. Do you ever find that hard?
It is hard. It is hard when you think about it, that there can be 3-4 goalkeepers in a squad, but there's only one opportunity to play, and you know that unless that goalkeeper gets injured, gets sent off, or is playing absolutely terribly, it's very unlikely that you're going to get the opportunity to play. So it is difficult, but it's part of the position. That's something that you have to accept as a goalkeeper and understand when this is what you choose to do.
Between training with the under-20s, like the youth setup, to training with the first team?
Say 2 things. The intensity, obviously. So with the first team, everything's a lot quicker, a lot more intense, a lot more demanding. And then also the consistency of the first team players. A good example that I always say to people when they ask me that question is that a first team player can finish a type of shot, let's say put it into the bottom corner 9 times out of 10, if not 10 times out of 10. An under 21s player can still do the same thing, but maybe only 3 times out of 10, 3-4 times out of 10. So the first team players are a lot more consistent in what they're able to do, which is why they're obviously at that level.
Is there anyone that's like specifically surprised you at how good they were in training?
I don't think anyone's really surprised me that much, because I was expecting quite a high level. However, I would say Leandro Trossard is the best finisher in the squad in my opinion.
Set pieces.
Well, the most important thing is that prior to the game, everyone has an understanding of what your defensive setup's going to be, and usually would have done some opposition analysis on it, know what certain areas the opposition may target, if they've got any players that go to certain parts of the box or certain parts of the goal. And then, of course, being demanding in the situation, making sure that your players are in the right position, being loud, being dominant, and also you being in a position to come and deal with the ball if it is a cross for you to come in and take it.
Have you worked much with Nicholas Jover?
We work every single day on the corner, so it's no coincidence that Arsenal's doing so well in their attacking set pieces, because pretty much every single day there's at least 10-15 minutes of practice on attacking set pieces.
When it comes to playing with Colombia, have you had much interaction with the first team?
Somewhat, yeah, because some of the coaching staff from the first team come over and they've watched our games, so I have a good relationship with all of them, in particular some of the physios and the goalkeeper coach. I often exchange messages with them on WhatsApp. And also when they were here in March of 2024, they had a friendly against Spain at the West Ham Stadium, so I took that opportunity to go and watch them train, which was fantastic, and that was really, really good, because I'm able to continue fortifying that connection with them and hopefully be ready to get into that team once I'm done with the under-20 process.
Last question then. When it comes to saving a penalty, would you say that it's, how much would you say it's luck-based compared to preparation?
I would say at lower levels, so even at my level at under-21s, a lot of it will be more luck because you don't have as much information on the player. However, as you move up the levels, especially in the professional game with all the video that is out there, all the scouting, it's a lot more preparation based, because most of the time before a match you would have studied the opposition penalty takers. You'll know who could be possible to take the penalty, you know where they'll go, you know what cues to look for, what little triggers could mean one thing, so it's a lot more about preparation.
Is there, like, when it comes, going back to Arsenal, is there a specific player in the Arsenal squad which are the best at penalties?
Say Bukayo Saka's very consistent. That's why he's our penalty taker. He's a very good penalty taker. Although I have saved a few from him, but that helps him get better as a player.